Last night, the Portland Trail Blazers made a statement, winning their first NBA Cup game of the season, beating the Denver Nuggets 109-107 in a game where they barely led. They're now 4-2 on the season and look like a team that's ready to compete in the Western Conference. We'll dive into the keys of this victory as well as what the Blazers need to freshen up moving forward.
Come and tap in, see what's new. Blazers Uprise on the crew.
So far this season, the Blazers have struggled in the first quarter, getting off to slow starts. They did so against the Utah Jazz and did this again last night against the Denver Nuggets. But the key has been the Blazers bench, who's missing some key contributors, but has allowed Portland to claw back from some of these slow starts. Being able to have a scorer like Jeremy Grant off the bench, who's going to be in 6th Man of the Year conversations this season, is a huge boost to be able to sub into an offense that's starting slow. But last night, for the Blazers, it was more about winning the non-Jokic minutes. He's won multiple MVPs for a reason. Denver is a much better team with him on the floor. The Blazers were able to do that in the first half, and throughout this game, the Blazers kept clawing back from 6 to 10 point deficits, getting the game within a possession, and then falling a little bit behind again. It reminded me a lot of opening night against the Minnesota Timberwolves, where the Timberwolves were doing that to the Blazers and then were able to pull ahead late. Credit to the Blazers for being able to stay in this game as long as they did. I thought this was a really tough matchup for the Blazers going in. While they can get out and run, they're also a very capable team in the half court, and when games have slowed down, the Blazers have struggled, and we saw that in this game with the Blazers struggling a bit to score in the half court offense, and in the first half they struggled to force the same volume of turnovers that they've been forcing all season long. So this game quickly became a question of, would the Blazers at any point impose their style of play, force some turnovers from the Nuggets, and be able to get out and run? While the Blazers only finished with 14 fast break points, they were able to force some turnovers for the Nuggets, bringing the ball up the floor. In the fourth quarter, Shaedon Sharpe was able to get things going. He only played 24 minutes in this game. He had been dealing with a calf issue, so maybe his minutes were limited. But with the rash of Achilles injuries and the risk of tearing an Achilles when you're playing on a calf strain, if Shaedon Sharpe's minutes were limited last night due to a calf strain, honestly, I feel like he shouldn't be playing at all until he's absolutely 100% and doesn't need a minutes restriction. So I thought that was kind of strange because Sharpe had 7 points and an assist in the first 4 minutes of the fourth quarter to get the Blazers right back in this game. And then he got subbed out for Toumani Camara, who had struggled all game long with foul trouble. He had 5 fouls and was subbed in with 8 minutes left to go in the fourth. It's really hard to go that long as the Blazers' #1 defender without fouling out. But credit to Toumani, he did that. In late, the Blazers had a string of defensive stops that showed just how capable they are on the defensive end of the floor. In the final 2 minutes, the Nuggets did get a couple of shots to go, but they were incredibly tough jump shots. One, a step back from Jamal Murray for 3. We've seen that too many times in Moda Center. And then one was an insanely tough Aaron Gordon fadeaway mid-range jumper. Both were really good defensive possessions where the offense made a play. Outside of that, the Blazers were able to turn over Aaron Gordon. With 35 seconds left and the Nuggets up 2, Christian Brown missed a 3, which would have probably sealed the game for the Nuggets. He was brutal all game long. And with 27 seconds left, Jeremy Grant was able to draw a foul and get to the free throw line and knock down 2 clutch free throws. This set things at a 107-107 tie, and now here came the most impressive defensive possession of the entire season. Teams have been hunting Shaedon Sharpe on switches, and the Nuggets did that here, getting Sharpe to switch out onto Jamal Murray. Now what happens after this shows why Jrue Holiday is so valuable, doing things defensively that don't show up in the box score. Holiday comes over to double Jamal Murray and force the ball out of his hands so that he can't attack Shaedon Sharpe. Murray swings the ball to Cam Johnson, who Holiday had been guarding, and Holiday recovers well enough to slow Cam Johnson up for Toumani Camara to come over for this massive weak side block. That was an absolutely fantastic play by Toumani Camara, but also it would not have happened that way without Jrue Holiday forcing the ball out of Jamal Murray's hands and then slowing up Cam Johnson on his drive to the rim. Great defense from the Blazers, but now there's 3.2 seconds remaining for an inbound play for the Denver Nuggets. Jeremy Grant's able to tip the inbound pass out of bounds, so now there's 2.9 seconds remaining. The Nuggets inbound the ball to Nikola Jokic, and Toumani Camara, with 5 fouls, is able to get a jump ball where he reaches around Nikola Jokic with both arms. This was an extremely risky play, as more often than not, referees will call the defensive player for a foul, even if they might not be touching the player because it looks like they are hugging him. This play had Nuggets fans up in arms. However, in the final 2-minute report, the league said that this was a clean defensive play and correctly called. Let me know if you think this was a foul or not, but at the start of the play, it looked like Tamani had his arm wrapped around Nikola Jokic, but if you're not grabbing the player or really impeding him from moving anywhere, that's not supposed to be called a foul. And then it does look like Tamani pretty much has all ball despite reaching both of his arms around Nikola Jokic, but I understand Nuggets fans' frustrations. If things were flipped and that was happening to a Blazer player in this situation, I would have probably been very mad, so I fully get it. But another great play from Tamani Kamara, and now the Blazers have a jump ball with 1.2 seconds remaining. Before the tip, it became clear that Nikola Jokic was going to tip this ball to Aaron Gordon, as he was the best option with only 1.2 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Gordon wasn't going to have much time to do anything, so before this play even happened, I was hoping that Shaedon Sharpe would also recognize this and be able to use his athleticism to defend a shot from Aaron Gordon. And that's exactly what happens as Gordon fades away and Shaedon Sharpe's able to come over and get a block, forcing a shot clock violation. And man, was it great to see Shaedon Sharpe come up with a huge clutch defensive play and have the awareness to recognize the situation, recognize that Aaron Gordon had to go up for the shot, and jumping early enough to meet him at his release point and get that block shot. Credit to Shaedon Sharpe, he has exceeded all expectations on the defensive end this year. Now this put Portland with the ball, advanced after the timeout with 3 seconds remaining, and they run an inbounds play that's not particularly well ran or constructed, as the result is Jeremy Grant catching the ball, running across the court, trying to shoot a full speed on the run fadeaway jumper, and he gets fouled by Aaron Gordon. Great call from the ref. It was absolutely a foul. Jeremy Grant goes to the free throw line, hits more clutch free throws. The second one he tried to miss. I guess he's too clutch. And the Nuggets were not able to get the final shot to go, although they did get a pretty good look from Nikola Jokic, and the Blazers win 109-107. This was a poor shooting game for both teams, but look how many more field goal attempts the Blazers had than the Denver Nuggets. They also made 5 more threes. And there was 2 things that allowed that to happen that is key for the Blazers' style of play. One, the offensive rebounding. Donovan Clingan was phenomenal here, as he got 7 offensive boards in only 24 minutes. And the second was the turnovers. Despite Denver seemingly being prepared for the Blazers' style of play in the first half, Blazers defense wore on the Nuggets, and they were eventually able to start forcing them into mistakes, which allowed them to stay in this game and come back in that second half. And this, I think, is a great thing to see out of the Portland Trail Blazers. It's one thing to force a super short-handed Los Angeles Lakers team into a bunch of turnovers. It's one thing to do it to the Utah Jazz, who a lot of people think will be the worst team in the Western Conference. It's a whole nother thing to be able to do that to the Denver Nuggets, led by Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. And at this point of the year, the book is out on the Portland Trail Blazers. They lead the league in forcing turnovers. They pick up opposing ball handlers further down the court than any other team in the league. They'll pick them up 94 feet, and teams recognize this. I think the slow start the past couple of games from the Portland Trail Blazers is teams scouting this and teams being prepared for this. The question becomes for the Blazers, despite the book being out on the style of defense they play, can it still work? Can they still force teams into bad backcourt turnovers? And this game, I think, was a major statement for them being able to do so against a good team that seemed ready for it, but whose turnover issues plagued them in the second half, and the Blazers were still able to force 19 turnovers. Denny Avdia continues to play great. Shaedon Sharpe had his best offensive game of the season. Jrue Holiday's scoring was a little bit down this game, but 13 assists. He was great passing the ball, finding teammates. Donovan Clingan was a beast on the boards. Jeremy Grant continues to be very reliable, giving the Blazers at least 16 points every single night. And Chris Murray had himself a great game and actually was in the final closing lineup for the Blazers. He had some good defensive possessions, knocked down a clutch 3 down the stretch, and he's been much improved this year. This game also saw the return of Robert Williams. Here's what he had to say about finally getting back on the floor.
Felt to be back out there.
10 times better than we got the win, you know what I'm saying? Just happy to be back out there with my dogs, man. Shout out to Blake going through a little injury, but next man up mentality. great cup game win, you know what I'm saying, keep the dub early, man, for sure.
Unfortunately, Blake Wesley went down with a foot injury. I don't yet know how serious it is, and the Blazers are a little bit banged up right now, as it was also reported that Matisse Thybulle will miss 4 to 6 weeks with a torn UCL. Of course, the Blazers are without Scoot Henderson. I can't wait for Scoot Henderson to come back and join this team's style of play. I think he'll be great this season. But my main takeaway from this game is the Blazers defense is for real, and even against a good team like the Denver Nuggets, the Blazers are still able to impose their will and force turnovers. And it was fun in crunch time to see big-time defensive players make big-time defensive plays.
First team all defense, man. That's what he do. That's what he do, baby. I told him, man, stop reaching with 5 fouls at the end on Joker, man. I was scared they was going to give him that free throw. Hey, big-time defensive players make big-time defensive plays. Without him, that game don't get done. Big-time defense down the field.
It's really fun to see Dame talk about this team. And here's what Tiago Splitter had to say as well.
There was guys with minutes restrictions, guys out, guys playing the first game. A lot of stuff that, we had before the game and during the game, and I think just they're resilient to go over all of those things and then be ready to the adjustments that we did in the game. I think that was awesome. The guys were ready, prepared, and just brought their A game. I think Tumani was big time, but Drew again. Chris Murray was big time from the bench. Just making plays, guarding people. It was like a team effort thing. I think we could shoot better the ball still, like 28% for 3. So we got room for improvement. I feel like our first quarter was kind of slow. The time thing didn't help, the scoreboard. So it was kind of like a weird beginning of the game, to be honest.
Here were the final scores from yesterday. All these games were NBA Cup games. And moving forward with the NBA Cup, the Blazers have a chance. They're 1-0. They were put into the toughest position of any NBA team, being put in an NBA Cup group with the Spurs, the Rockets, the Warriors, and the Nuggets. But they've already taken care of one of these games, and they've been competitive in every single game they've played in so far this season. Last season, the Blazers were dealing with 40-point losses to the Utah Jazz. So this team looks vastly improved, and now they get a couple days off before taking on the Los Angeles Lakers on Monday. Luka Doncic is back. He had a great game last night. I'll have that preview in tomorrow's video. And after that, the schedule doesn't get any easier for the Portland Trail Blazers, as they will have a true test taking on the OKC Thunder, and then going on the road for an Eastern Conference road trip starting in Miami to take on the Heat, who are running one of the most unique offenses in the NBA right now. Also, shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring this stream. My parlay yesterday, it wasn't particularly good. The Blazers finally slowed up a star in Nikola Jokic, which was good to see. I didn't really expect that, but we can always bounce back and try again. In tomorrow's video, I'll have some more picks. You guys can get in on the action with Sleeper, promo code Uprise. You'll get a 100% match on any deposit up to $100, and you'll also get a free $20 entry, no deposit required. You can get in on the fun and excitement of this NBA season with Sleeper with that promo code Uprise, and man, has it been fun and exciting to see the Blazers look competitive. The early season schedule was looked at as a gauntlet for the Blazers, and I was just hoping at the end of November they would be around 500 and in the play-in conversation. Now, it's still early, it's still only 6 games in, but a 4-2 start, beating the Golden State Warriors, Los Angeles Lakers, and Denver Nuggets is very impressive, and the 2 losses they have, they were competitive in and probably could have won those games against the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Los Angeles Clippers. For the first time in a long time, the Blazers look like a team that will be competitive in the Western Conference, which truthfully makes it all so much more fun for me to do these videos and do the post-game shows after every game. If you're missing those, you definitely want to tune in. We do full shows after every Blazer game, going into all the details of that night's action. With that being said, that's a wrap for this video. I'll catch you next time. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!